There are some cars in the world that get banned for no reason that we can really think of other than the country just didn't like them. These are dangerous cars, these are normal cars, these are everyday cars. But what makes these vehicles get banned, and what is it about them that the country or the people in them don't like? And just a warning here, most of these are banned from the USA, but we will try and delve into other countries. I've always really liked the topic of banned cars, because while there are a lot of banned racing cars, you don't always get normal everyday banned cars. Now this usually sits into the realm of one country made the car, but it just didn't fit the laws of the other country, or the economic regulations which affects the car being sold in that country. And a classic case in point here is the Nissan Skyline in America, but we'll save that for the video. And for whatever reason, a lot of cars in the USA always seem to get banned, and it's actually hard to find cars that get banned in other countries, but USA hate them despite having all these vehicles. Now while most of this video will be about banned cars in the USA, I have to at least include one that wasn't in the USA, and this is the Lotus Carlton. This was the subject of a campaign to ban it in the UK in the 1990s, but the campaign actually failed. The car was actually considered unsafe and unreasonable by the British government, but in my opinion this was a car that was just hated, and then people wanted to ban it because of its notoriety and increased getaway car usage, which to be honest is a pretty cool claim to fame, and now these things are worth quite a bit of money. I mean, all it was really was a Vauxhall and a Lotus combined to make an awesome super saloon, and this ban actually meant in the UK this car is worth so much anyway. Now without trying to make this video the longest in the world, I will go over quite a few cars that were banned in the USA. Did you know that the Land Rover Defender was banned in the USA? This was because of an airbag issue, and to be fair, that's a legit reason. It was the well-known Defender from the United Kingdom. It was actually one of the first on the list to be banned, despite a lot of supercars being banned and highly tuned cars. Now the airbag troubles did actually happen because of Land Rover's unknown reliability issues at the time, and the slowing of sales proved this point. So the last Defender produced for the American market was in the January of 2016. For some reason, Americans hate powerful cars from Europe or Japan, but it's weird because you look at their own cars and you just think, why did they hate them? They're supposed to love power and speed.
It's the solution to everything, speed and power.
Anyway, they decided to ban the Audi RS2 Avant. This was strictly only available in Europe actually, but the RS2 Avant is one of the most surprising cars that was banned from the USA because of its extreme appeal and high demand, mostly for its incredible power. Now you have to remember, the RS6 wasn't actually a thing at this point. This was the closest people had in the 90s to an RS6, and this was a fast car back then. And the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration made it ineligible to be driven because of its instability and unreliable drive. Now I'm not sure what they were talking about because Audi 4-wheel drive is excellent. Most cars aren't actually sold in America and often just banned from being imported, and weirdly enough the Peugeot RCZ was one of those cars. Now this was banned for being an unfit vehicle according to the United States, because the French company decided to solely sell the RCZ in Europe because it did not meet North American standards. Likely because this is quite a low car and many American people will never have heard of a Peugeot. There aren't too much details on this, but it's likely because the Peugeot just did not meet any of the standards that the USA wanted, whatever those standards are. And Peugeot being French are quite known for their stubbornness. The plucky bitch strikes again, the Lotus Elise S1, or in other words, the Mark I Lotus Elise. A car that you would not suspect to have been banned from the USA, but this vehicle was actually one of the best handling and speedy cars of its time, reaching a 0-60 time in 5.8 seconds. Now this vehicle was also very light, so it actually kept the power behind the engine and at only 1,550 kilograms, meaning the car's regulations are against American laws. Surprise, surprise. And they've just considered that this car would just get in more accidents, which I guess is true because it was made in a shed in Norwich.
God, please, no!
And again, another Brit on the list, and this time it's a TVR Sagaris as well as the TVR Tucson. I mean, it's probably not hard to see why this car got banned. This car was weird enough in the UK. Now, if you're not familiar with TVR, they are originally from a town called Blackpool, and it's changed ownership in several times, at one point going bust. But to be completely honest to the Americans, the TVR had safety issues and pretty poor reliability, and then getting taken over by a Russian owner. And they're quite quirky cars, like Tokyo said.
It's insaner.
But they were just too weird for the American market to comprehend, given the fact that to open the car, you had to press the door mirror to get in, and Americans would just not be able to do that. Once again, it's another British car. The XJ220 sold only 6 examples that were produced for the S version, but that was enough to ban them from the United States, and the S model was designed to be a street legal version as well than the original XJ220. Now this is likely because most cars that are made into street legal versions often have to have race versions before it, and this meant there was hidden headlights on the XJ220 which were removed from the S model, therefore making this 690 horsepower car banned from the USA. Now I'm going to save the best to the last, but there's one more I want to go over before I go to that one. It's the 1990 BMW M3 Sport Evolution 3. With only 600 made, BMW BMW were actually selling quite a lot of cars in the US. But for some reason, this 2.5 litre Sport Evolution just didn't sell well in the USA. Despite having the M-Line as well, BMW decided a new 4-cylinder engine would replace the 6-cylinder being used in the E30, which was too long to fit inside the car for everyday use, creating an extra 200 horsepower. Going back to the NHTSAs, which is the boring people's company, they banned this car under show and display regulations, meaning it couldn't be imported, but it did mean the restrictions could end in 2015, leading nicely onto my next car. Now, this is probably no surprise, but the famous Nissan Skyline has been one of those cars that has been well noted for being banned from America, including quite a few other JDM vehicles and specific Skylines, which was a massive shame for Americans who love JDM. But since this is over, it's okay to talk about now because they can actually import one. And again, for some reason, Americans just don't like really high-powered cars, which I just don't understand. Now, there is a whole list which I will just show you here because there is a lot of them that were banned from the US, and I think the fact that it was in Fast and Furious probably didn't help its case. The National Highway and Traffic Safety Administration also thought so, making this car banned because of its extreme power. I mean, the GTR was pretty powerful, mostly due to its US emissions and safety standards because it didn't meet any of the compliance.
Wow.
But this did mean there was a 25-year rule, which was pretty famous for quite some time, and the governments wanted to clamp down on market imports to ensure foreign importers were actually following rules. But this meant, unfortunately, GTRs, GTTs, and even most of the early GTRs were banned from the USA. But there was always some people that managed to get one. As much as I really want to talk about other countries in this video, it's kind of funny that USA pretty much topped the list for every banned road car you could think of. There are also a lot more cars, so if you do want to see a part 2, always consider subscribing because I love making car content. And hopefully I will see you for the next one.